Hi guys, I'm Becky Alexander Frost and you're watching RGF Makes. Hi guys, I'm Becky from RGF Makes and I'm the brains and know-how of RGF Makes, which is a sewing brand. And I design patterns and fabric, and my glasses are falling down, sorry. So basically the video that you're going to see next is a Facebook Live that I've just finished this very minute, and we basically make this beautiful cat pouch. So it's a free sewing pattern. To get the sewing pattern you need to be a member of my Facebook group, which is in the description below, the link. There is two sizes to this. It's called the super tiny case, which is the small version, which I'm sorry, I've sold them all. So I make and sell. So I've actually sold them all, so I'm apologising right now. Big mistake. So it's no bigger than this mobile phone case with no mobile in it. My mobile phone's down there. But the case is around about the same width as this, so it's a bit smaller and a bit tinier for the small one. And then this is the medium one. The medium one's a really nice size, great for putting pamper kits in for gifts and stuff. It's a great scrap builder, buster, same thing. Same, it's a scrap buster pattern, which I talk about in the pattern anyway. This is an embroidery, so basically I sell embroidery designs that I've designed. And basically this is a 7x5 hoop design that's gone into the front panel of this. So I talk about all of that in the actual video, and there is two downloads, one for the small and one for the large, the medium size. So without further ado, I'd like to get into the video. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and click that notification bell for the next time a video goes live. You will be notified. And if you want to subscribe, please click the subscribe. I'll see you all soon and have fun watching this video. See ya, bye. Guys, how are you all doing? Please may you give me a thumbs up and a like to let me know you can hear me and see me. Hi guys! Oh, that's my loudspeaker going there. How is everybody? Hope you're all well. Right, so I'm Becky Alexander Frost. If you're new to my group, hi. Yeah, hi. So normally, just bear with me, I'm just going to click off this. Right, so normally I have my husband controlling the cameras for me, and basically he's working in the day, so I can't nick him. So you'll see me look that way, which is the computer, and it means that I can control the cameras, because obviously we've got a free camera setup. And yeah, so I do apologise if my head is all over the place, but I am looking into the camera and speaking to you guys. Also, my eyes will revert back down to here, because if any of you have any questions about this make, please don't hesitate to ask. Ask the questions and I will answer when they pop up. If I miss those questions, don't worry, I will be going back through the comments at the end of the live. Now we are making the free pattern download today, so you will find the patterns within the Facebook group. So they are called super tiny. Well, the one's called super tiny case, and then the other one's called super tiny friends case. So I'm making the medium version, which is the panda version there, and then there is a smaller size, which is the super tiny case. They're both downloadable within the file section. However, I can't link at the moment until after the live, so I will put the links on after the live. Facebook just threw me out completely. So in this corner, I think, yeah, in this corner, if you're new, I have a website called RGF Makes, so it's www.rgfmakes.com, and until the end of May 2021, if you're watching this back after the live, you can get 10% off everything within my shop, even if it's like something to make with this pouch or whatever. Right, okay, so I'm going to go straight into it. I'm going to jump to the overhead camera, so please bear with me. The screen might go black, but yeah. Overhead camera is the green camera. Yay, didn't go black. Whoop, 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 whoop. Right, so I'm just going to move the mouse out of the way for a minute. Right, so your comments are not all coming up on my mobile phone. How do I find you for the live? Pauline, you're on the live. Hi Laura. Hi Sharon. You are here. Yay! Alison answered that for me. Thanks Alison. Hi Sally, lovely to see you too. I know there's quite a lot of you watching, so please don't hesitate to say hi. Have a talk amongst yourselves. This video can be played back and rewound back at any time. It's viewable within the group, and also over the weekend I will upload it to my YouTube channel. So in the file section you'll find the two patterns that are available at the moment. It's the same construction for both of these patterns. So you've got the super tiny case, which is quite a small pouch. It ends up being about this big. It's a really tiny one which you can store your mask in, your hand sanitizer, whatever, for your handbag. You get, within the pattern, you'll get the templates, and you will get just a little brief cutting out section here and what size zip you will need and what zip you are using. Each pattern piece is labelled of what you do need to cut out. Now this is a great scrap buster for interfacing, for PU, for anything basically. So any fabric that you've got, it's a scrap buster. The main body piece is a place on fold, so you basically fold your fabric and pop this pattern template piece once you've cut it out and you cut around it. However, on my piece today I had two pieces of cork, and as you can see I've sewn them together. So what I ended up doing, I'll show you on this one. On my medium template piece, I just writ here, this way Becky, I just writ here, add a quarter. So I got my two pieces of fabric on top of each other, I popped the template on, then I measured down a 1/4 inch, and then I cut all the way around and left 1/4 inch at the bottom. Then that means I sewed them together to make the complete piece that this would have made originally. But I'll talk about all the stabilisers and stuff like that when we get into it. When you actually print off your pattern, make sure the 1 inch square in the top left hand corner is the, just turn this one camera off. Just bear with me. There you go. Right, so this this 1 inch square in the top left hand corner, when you print it out, make sure you print out at 100% or actual size on your printer setting to make sure this measures 1 inch, and that's for both patterns. That's the small and the medium. So for this, like I say, is a scrap buster pattern. So you'll need main outer fabric, lining fabric, medium weight interfacing, and fusible fleece. Now the fusible fleece has got some notes next to it. It says trim back all the way around 3/8 of an inch. That's so it's not in the seam allowance. You will find that is for all the fusible fleece sections. There is 2 extra bits that you need to cut out, and that's for your zip tab and for your handle. However, someone messaged me in the week when I uploaded these patterns and asked if we could do a handle out of webbing. Yes, go ahead. The thing that you need to eliminate is whatever size webbing width that it is, and then you just need to make sure it's either 6 6 inches or whatever this one is. I can't remember this one. 8.5 inches. Right, so I'm going to pop the small one to one side because we're working on the medium one today. There is a reason why I am working on the medium one. First of all, so you can see it, because the small's so tiny. Right, so with the medium, there is, the main body piece has 2 pieces. It has an A and a B piece. What you need to do is cut the A piece completely all the way around, even through the dotted line of that star. And then you stick that while this is still on the A4 piece, and stick that, making that star a full star again. So it should end up being like this. And then you can go ahead and trim out it completely. And then basically the exactly same, you cut your zip gusset and follow the cutting out instructions, and your side gussets and follow the instructions for the cutting out as well. You got your zip tab and your handle. Now you'll need a 15-inch zip, and that's a number 5 zip. So a number 5 zip is this one here. And when I say number 5, the coil in the middle, the actual zip, is 5mm wide. If you are going to use a number 3 zip, so that would be the coil is 3mm wide. If you are going to use a number 3 zip, where I have said the seam allowance is 1/4 of an inch for the whole bag to make, and then when you come to sew in the number 5 zip, you have to use a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. You will need to eliminate the 3/8 and sew in the number 3 zip at 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Now I do apologise if I am missing any of your comments. I know some of my admin are in today, but my phone is playing up, so. Right, so I'm going to show you what I've cut out and what fabrics I've used, and then basically get straight into making it. Right, so for my lining, I'm going to start off with my lining first. For my lining, I have used quilter's weight cotton, and I've used grunge Moda fabric, and I've cut them all out, and this is the large main body and base lining piece. I have interfaced every single piece of these. That's these as well. I've used medium weight interfacing. I've used a non-woven medium weight, and I've used F220 Vaseline. Now I know some of you are in the States. You can use the woven that I know of is SFS101 or Woven Fuse or something like that. You can use that for the stabiliser for the interfacing of the lining fabric. Now I know someone said, can they use the waterproof canvas that a lot of people, bag makers, are using at the moment? Yes and no. So the way I'm going to show you is it's basically a drop-in lining, and then you hand sew the lining in at the end. If you are going to use the waterproof canvas, you will need to do the bias binding trick. However, I'm not going to show you that trick today, but next month's tutorial will show that trick. Yes, there is going to be a few more tutorials in this group. So that will have the bias binding. So if you wanted to wait until next month, you can wait until next month. So that's your lining pieces. Obviously you've got your zip. I'm going to put my labels in because I'm making this as a gift for a friend. The next thing I've got is my handle. So I'm using quilter's weight cotton for my handle, and I'm using fusible non-woven interfacing again. And I've done a bit of prep on my handle already. I folded it in half, wrong sides together, and given it a good press. Then opened it up, Brought the 2 long edges into the centre and giving it a good press, and then I'm folding it again to make that 1-inch strip that I need to be able to sew to make the handle. But I will run back past that again. Now the zip tab is exactly the same construction and exactly the same materials. I've used medium weight interfacing, and I've used quilting weight cotton fabric, and I've done exactly the same, 2 long edges into the centre and folded it and given it a good crease. So I'm just going to put that because that's the first bit we need to deal with. Right, so your main outer fabrics can be anything. When I say anything, I mean like as in anything that is bag making fabric. Right, so normally I would make, and I'll get the original bag. So the original bag I made, I used calico as the front and the back and the base, and the handle and the tab. Then I used cork fabric for the actual main outer gusset area. You can use whatever you want. However, if you are using cork for the main outer, or PU as the main outer, my advice is do not interface it. Just use the fusible fleece. Make sure you trim back that fusible fleece when you fuse it into the place. Let's just move that mouse out of the way. When you actually fuse it into place. Now I've used for my my fusible fleece, I've used H640, Visaline H640. Because I used a lightweight calico on this, I actually interfaced it before I actually put the fusible fleece on this version, because the fabric isn't a heavyweight fabric, but like so the cork that I'm using today is a heavyweight cork. I'm just seeing if there's any more. Are you going to sell the bunny embroidery? Actually, the bunny embroidery isn't actually mine. It's from Urban Threads. However, Lucy the Hare, if anybody remembers me back 4 years ago, Lucy the Hare is actually being designed at the moment to be an embroidery, and it's only going to be outlines. Now, we may put glasses on her as an option, so if you want that, then that's fine. But there will the flowers will be there still framing her face. Right, I'm just going to pop that there. So we're going to move over to the zip gusset. I'm going to pop that on there because as it's pink, you lose it. It's camouflaged. Right, so the pink fabric here is my zip gusset. I'm using cork fabric as my outer again. So basically I've gone through my cork scrap dump bin and used all scrap cork for this project from leftover bags that I've made. On the cork, I haven't interfaced it, but if you are using a stretchy PU or if you are using a woven fabric, you will need to interface it before you put the fusible fleece on. So both of these have got fusible fleece. I've trimmed away 1/4 of an inch up to 3/8 of an inch, 3/8 of an inch ish, all the way around. I've done exactly the same with my 2 side pieces as well, and I've basically eliminated the interfacing. Now, I know somebody asked, can they use Decaville Light? Because I know Decaville Light is the new in thing to use because it saves so much money and you don't have to use interfacing. Yes is the answer. However, you do need to trim it back to make the fabric go around the curve. So, right, so I'm going to start off with the first main bits. Now I'm going to have to keep apologising, I'm going to have to keep reaching for a drink. We have all got a bit of a sore throat. And I think that's down to me having my injection yesterday, but anyway. Okay, so I'm going to make the zip tab first. What I did was I folded it in half, wrong sides together, and gave it a good press. And then I opened it up, brought the two long edges into the centre, gave that a good press, and then I folded it and gave that a good press. I did the same for the handle as well, which I've already gone over. Pressed it, wrong sides together, length, two long sides matching each other. Then opened it up, brought the two long edges into the centre, gave that a good press and folded it over. Now I'm going to go over to my sewing machine, and you will see my sewing machine where I stitch. But I'm going to sew 1/8 of an inch away from both of these edges. I'm not going to sew over these two short edges. And I'm going to do that for both pieces. I'm going to make my stitch length at 2.4. And on my sewing machine I will have a Teflon foot. Now because I've got a heavy duty sewing machine, I don't need a walking foot on it. But however, if you have got just an ordinary home machine, you will need a walking foot on. I've got a size 16 needle because I'm using cork fabric, but you can get away with a size 14 needle on this project. So let me just switch over to the sewing machine camera. Right, okay, so I'm going to apologise. The camera, when I cut the thread on the on this sewing machine, the camera will jump because I'm waiting for a new stand to come, which will help stabilise the camera. So the sewing thread that I'm using today is from the Little Stitcher Sews in the UK. It's called Tex 40. I've got that in my top and in my bobbin underneath as well. And the machine that I'm using is the Janome HD9 Heavy Duty. Please don't hesitate to ask any questions and let me know what the weather's like in your area. So I'm stitching 1/8 of an inch away from the edge. I've started on the edge that's got the open side first. Now I apologise, it's going to jump the camera. And then I've returned it round. I'm going to sew the other edge 1/8 of an inch away. I'm using a stitch length 2.4 as well, guys. Right, so that is my oh yeah, I got a bit of a bird's nest there. So that is my actual tab for my zip done. I'll sort out that bird's nest in a minute. Because I'm doing my handle and because it's a longer, I'm going to up my stitch length to a 3.5. And I'm doing the same 1/8 of an inch away from the edge. And then I'm going to twist it round and do the other edge. Okay, I'll just go to the overhead camera. Right, okay, so I've got those. I'm just going to sort out the bird's nest that was on the back of this one here. So I'm just going to get that out. I can't wait to show you the next size up from this because you can make it into a handbag. So I'm going to show you at the end of today's live of what next month's sew along will be. It is a nice size bag as well. I've got a bird's nest there as well. So we're going to pop both of these to one side for now, and we're going to get the 2 outer zip gussets. We're not going to work with the lining at all until we come to the lining back. Warm and dry here. Yeah, it's warm and dry, but a bit cold. You're going to need your number 5 zip. Now mine is a bit longer because this was the last bit of the zip. Let's move that away. Now a lot of you will know what I'm going to bring out. I'm going to bring out my quilter's tape. I do apologise. Quilter's tape, wash away tape, exactly the same thing. As long as you're using a tape that is safe for the sewing machine and it can wash away. Don't use a standard double-sided sticky tape because it will cog up your machine and your needle, and it can damage it. Oh no, Lo, what's your question? Right, so I'm going to pop this underneath it so you guys can see it. Right, so I'm working on my zip gusset on the main outer zip gusset, the one with your fusible fleece attached. And on the right side, we are working on the right side facing up. Now I don't want these long sides, I'm going to pop quilter's tape along that edge. No, I have no idea what you're talking about. Right, okay, so I'm going to peel off that backing tape. Now my tape isn't that sticky. Me and my Patreon members, my club members, were having this chat the other day. So I'm going to peel off the backing tape. And get my zip. Now my zip is longer, your zip will be a little bit longer. My motto is pull the zip over to the side, the pull to the side, because then you don't have to lift up the presser foot when we're actually sewing the zip into place. I'm going to flip the zip so it's wrong side facing up and marry up this edge to this edge here. Now if you're using a number 5 zip like I am, we are going to go and sew 3/8 of an inch away from this edge here. We're going to sew along the edge and we're going to reverse the stitch at the start and at the end. However, if you're using a number 3 zip, you will need 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. And then when we get to putting them onto the side gussets, I'm going to tell you what you need to do if you're using the number 3 zip. So I'm going to use a stitch length 2.4 and reverse my stitch at the start and at the end. I'm going to go over to my sewing machine camera. So because I'm using the number 5, we are using 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, and I've just dropped my stitch length down to 2.4. And don't forget to reverse your stitch at the start and at the end. Now if you are struggling, put your zipper foot on. My foot is just riding it okay here. Okay. Overhead camera. No, wrong one. This one. Where's Michael? My husband does a better job from me normally on the camera switch over. Right, okay. Oh my god. Don't make me chuckle. Right, so because I've used a heavyweight fabric on the main outer, I'm going to use quilter's tape along this edge. Now if you have used an iron fabric that you can iron, i.e. quilter's weight cotton, you can go ahead and press this open. However, I can't do that, so I'm going to have to use quilter's tape and pop that along that edge that I've just sewn. I'm going to peel off my backing tape. And then I'm going to press it open. Now I'm going to pop a clip here to stop it from popping open. Okay. Now I'm going to go to my sewing machine, top stitch, using a stitch length number 4 because I'm using cork. Now if you're using quilter's weight cotton, use a stitch length 3 or 3.5. And you're going to top stitch 1/8 of an inch away from the edge of your zip gusset. Right, let me get to the right camera because I'm pants at this. Oh, so funny. Sorry guys, I will get better. Right, so I'm top stitching 1/8 of an inch away from the edge. I'm not reversing my stitch, there's no need because it's going to be caught in the seam when we put the side gusset on. Taking it nice and slow. And when I come to stop, I make sure my needle is down. I'm going to remove that clip now for the next bit. Okay, so back to the overhead camera. There you go. Sorry guys, I'm really getting used to this. I'm screaming for Michael here. Happy to respond to any sparrows and coconuts. Right, okay, so I'm going to trim off that loose piece of thread. So I'm just going to put this to one side and we're going to pick up the other zip gusset and we're going to run quilter's tape along this edge here. I had a funny feeling Lo was going to come in with a random question. Okay, so I've gone along that edge there. And we're repeating the same process but putting it on the opposite side of the zip. So I'm going to peel off the backing tape. This tape is from Amazon. And it's called wash away tape. We normally buy a pack of 4 and it's quite a large amount that comes on the wheels. However, the last batch haven't been sticky and a lot of my Patreon club members have been saying that too. Right, so we're going to go right side facing down onto the right side of the zip. Where this edge of the zip gusset on this one needs to match up to this edge here of the zip gusset. And then this edge here of the zip gusset needs to match up to the zip tape on this side. I'll flip that over and just make sure that's all spot on because I don't want to be off. What kind of foot am I using? I'm using a Teflon foot, Pauline. Yeah, I have, Lo. I have missed you. You need to join my Patreon group. Oh, the glitz bag. The Ritz bag. When you say glitz, I keep thinking, what's glitz? It's the Ritzy bag. Right, so I'm going to sew this on using the 1 centimetre 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. And I'm using a stitch length 2.4. And make sure you reverse your stitch at the start and at the end. I do have the walking foot for this machine, and I'm not going to lie, I know a lot of people that use this machine cannot get on with the walking foot. I'm used to an integrated walking foot from my past sewing machines, and this walking foot is just a standard walking foot, and I struggled, and I am using it for quilting, but I'm just not using it for bag making unless it's super bulky. Like I was sewing something at the weekend and I had to put the walking foot on. Okay. Right, okay, so bugger, I've got to go, I've got an unexpected. Kick them out, Sally, kick them out. No, it's alright, don't worry about it. I priced a Teflon foot for my machine. They are pricey, aren't they? Pauline, what machine do you have? This Teflon foot was about £15 for the official Janome. Running quilter's tape along this edge, or wash away tape, depending on, or wonder tape along this edge. Yeah, and repeating the same process again. Sharon, my phone is playing up. Half the comments come up, but they come up like 3 or 4 minutes later. It's ever since the new Facebook updates. I'm going to press this open and stick this down. Use a clip to hold into place. And once again, I'm going to do 1/8 of an inch away from the edge. I'm going to use a stitch length number 4 and basically not reverse at the start and at the end. That one? Yes, that is the one. Right, okay. Put this underneath the machine and then change my stitch length. So how many are going to be sewing this bag this weekend? Because I know in the UK they have said it's going to be raining. So it's a good project to do over the weekend. Oops, I went a bit off there. Sorry. I'm not happy. I'm not happy with that top stitch in there, but I'll live with it. Sorry, whoever's getting this as a present. Right, okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is get my zip tab. My zip tab always goes on the opposite side of the zip pull. I'm going to fold this in half. So you're going to have a better side and a non-better side. So I'm going to fold that in half. And then I'm going to pop that right in the centre where the zip is on this side. Okay. I'm going to pull this zip pull into the centre. Now because my zips that I sell are nylon zips, it means that I can sew over it. So I'm going to sew this into place here, which means I'm sewing over the zip, and then I am going to sew this closed so it's nice and closed. I'll ignore the stitching when you send it me. Ha ha, very funny, Lo. I like the idea of the little bag for my mask. Yeah, it's going to be a great make for putting masks in, especially the small one. I think it works out about this size. The medium's quite large for a medium. So I'm going to sew using a stitch length number 4 over these two edges here. One to base stitch the zip tab into place and one to close the zip off at this end. This here. There you go. Okay, so first of all I'm going to do the zip tab. My stitch length is at number 4 still, and I'm going to take it nice and slow. Now if you have got your foot and it's not riding flat, you may want to put your bulky seam aid in at the back. My foot is not riding flat, so I'm going to pop the bulky seam aid in at the back to make that foot flat. Let's just get it in the correct position, and then I'm just going to sew over it. I'm going to reverse my stitch at the start and at the end. The reason for the bulky seam aid is so it doesn't jump stitches when you're actually sewing it into place. Okay. And then the next bit I'm going to sew is the zip closed at the end. So I'm going to hold the zip together, and I'm sewing just within the 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm reversing this a few times. Hey. Okay. Right, okay. So I'm just going to trim off any of the excess bits that I don't need. So I'm going to use a blunt pair of scissors. Any overhangs. So for instance, my zip is overhanging on this end. I'm just going to trim that back so it's flush with the zip gussets. And I'm going to do the same with the zip as well. I'm just going to close that up a bit. Hey, the zip is, there you go. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that to one side for a minute, and then you would have already prepared your 2 side gussets with fusible fleece and interfacing if your fabric requires interfacing. Now if this is where you have used a number 3 zip, when we put these together you will find that the zip gusset will overhang. As you notice, just what I just did then was the one way is actually wider than the actual zip gusset for the number 5 zip. You need to use the smaller side for the zip gusset. So that's this one here. Because you may have not noticed, but the pattern slightly goes in at an angle. Just basically to give it the correct measurement for the edge of the zip gusset here. Now if you are using a number 3, you will need to trim back the actual gusset part. You'll need to trim it all the way so it matches the shortest edge of this square side gusset. So you're going to pop this right side to right side, marry up the ends and clip that into place. Then you're going to do the same with this one. So you need to find which edge it is. That's the one. You're going to flip that over, right sides together. No, it isn't. Is it that one? No. There it is. Right. Mine's slightly overhanging, so I'm going to... Yeah, mine's just slightly overhanging, so I'm going to have to trim mine back. It's marginal, it's 1/16 overhang. I can probably get away with that. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is sew 1/4 inch away from each end. Reverse my stitch at the start and at the end. I had mine yesterday, Karen, and I'll tell you something, it knocked me out again like my first one did, but today I'm a lot happier and a lot easier to move around. Before the first one, it knocked me out completely. Don't need that. Right, so I'm going to go to my sewing machine and sew 1/4 inch away using a stitch length 2.4. And I'm going to reverse my stitch at the start and at the end. And I'm going to switch camera. There you go. Right, change my stitch length to 2.4. 1/4 inch seam allowance. So this is where you're going to have to revert back to 1/4 inch seam allowance. So you've got to keep remembering the main seam allowance is 1/4 inch. You're going to reverse your stitch at the start and at the end. Then you're going to twist it round and do the other edge. Now, because my machine's going to cope, the zip tab is right here where I'm about to sew over. If you're going to find that your sewing machine is going to jump some stitches, put your bulky seam aid at the back and then put it into the front once you've gone past that bulky area. However, mine can easily go over that. Okay, while we're at the sewing machine, I apologise, we live by a main road and you can probably hear the tractors and stuff. While we're at the sewing machine, I'm going to open this up. This seam here needs to be pointing down towards the side gusset, and we're going to top stitch 1/8 inch away. Now I'm going to knock my stitch length up to a number 4, and I'm going to do 1/8 inch away from the edge here. Okay, and I'm going to repeat the same process for this side as well. So I'm going to open that up, make sure my seam is pointing down towards this way, and top stitch 1/8 inch away from this edge. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to trim off any loose pieces of thread that I've got first. Okay, I'm going to move the rabbit. Now I know this is going to blend into the background and I do apologise, but some things I need to do first. Now mine is 1/8 inch overhang here. I am going to trim it back so you guys know that it needs to be flush. This is my cutting out at the last minute at the weekend, so I'm just going to make sure it's perfectly straight and then trim that back. If that happens to you, just do exactly what I've just done there. Right, okay, so the next thing we're going to do, I'm going to add a handmade tag. Well, actually it's a ta-da. Laura, I love these. Right, so I'm just going to add one in. I'm going to pop it there. No, I'm going to do it this way, this side. Okay. And then I'm going to flip this over. Where the tab is on this side here of the zip, we want the handle to be on the opposite side. So I'm going to flip this over and draw some arrows here on either side. It doesn't matter what type of pen you use. These arrows here are to remind me that we are going to be putting a handle in there when we come to join the bag together. Okay, so we're going to fold this in half, match up the two sides, and that's the two side seams. And I'm just going to pop a clip in so it doesn't move. And then we are going to find the centre here and the centre here, and we're going to snip into the centre. Now I'm only going to do 1/8 because the seam allowance is 1/4 inch. I'm going to open that up. Then we're going to repeat the same process and find the two centres of the two sides. So we're going to fold this over and match up that and then snip into that, and you're going to snip in 1/8 inch. And the same with this one as well. Remind you that to be careful of the red Indians. Okay, hello? Okay, so the next thing you're going to do is get your main outer piece, and we're going to repeat the same process of finding the centres. Now, if I've done my maths right, that should be the centre. However, I'm going to fold it in half and make sure I've got a perfect centre. Yeah, that's perfectly on the centre, and that is as well. So I don't need to snip into those. However, if you've not joined two pieces together, you will need to snip into both of those. You're going to repeat the same process for this. So you're going to marry up the two centre marks here. I like to pop a clip in. And I'm going to snip into the two curved sides into the centre. I'm doing that 1/8 inch away. Okay. I'm going to take that label off and actually make sure it goes here. Is that the handle side? That way. Yep. Right, so just bear with me, I'm doing my maths in my head of where the bag is going to open. Okay, so you've got your two centre marks here and your two side centre marks. You're going to flip this over so it's right side facing down, and marry up your centre mark on the side to the centre mark here. And you're going to pop one clip in or a pin if you can pin your fabric. So you're going to get a quarters rule, and either side of this actual side gusset you're going to measure 1/4 inch in and give it a mark. So I'm going from the centre side, the gusset side and just marking 1/4 of an inch on each side. So the reason why I've done those 2 centre marks there and there, those 2 1/4 inch marks, is I am going to sew only in between those 2 marks. Now if you've done the Walk With Me bag, the base gusset is near enough done the same way. So we are not sewing in this section here. Let me bring that up to the camera. We are not sewing in this section here and this section here. You're only going to start from this line here, sew across 1/4 of an inch and finish here and reverse your stitch. I'm going to do exactly the same process on this side. So I've switched over, match up this centre to this centre and pop a clip. You're going to find the 2/4 of an inches just bear with me, I'm just going to reach for my drink. So sorry. That's okay, Beverly. Can you use a Tada label on the place of the zip tape? You can, Becky Ezra. You can. I did that on the original. I did that on the... I did it... You mean where the tab is? Right, okay. I did that on the very small one, and I found it wasn't enough to pull for opening and closing the bag. So I ended up doing it on the medium one on the side. However, the tab was a bit flappy. So before I attached the gusset to the main outer, I ended up just doing a top stitch across the top. And I actually quite like that way. However, I'm just going to pop it on there for today. Saves me doing any more stitching or unpicking. Right, so I'm going to go to the sewing machine and stitch 1/4 of an inch away from the edge using a stitch length 2.4. And I'm going to start from this mark here and finish at this mark, and make sure you reverse your stitches at the start and at the end. This camera, there you go. So first of all, I'm just going to base stitch my label into place. I'm going to do that 1/8 of an inch away. I'm just going to keep it at stitch length 4. Okay, so I'm going to remove that clip and pop my needle right on that first drawn mark. Knock my stitch length down to 2.4 and go a few stitches forward and then a few stitches back, and make sure you actually finish on that mark. Don't sew past that mark because we need to do something in a minute. So you sew into the next mark along. And you're going to reverse your stitch. And then you're going to do the other one as well. Okay, I'm going to go back to the overhead camera. What? Oh. Sorry about that. Oh. Right, okay. Oh, I'm so pants at this computer camera work. It's unbelievable. Right, let me just get rid of that. Okay. Oh, it's an easy make and a total scrap buster, Isabel. It's one of my favourite go-tos that I designed earlier on in the year for my Patreon members, for my club members. And then I said I was bringing it as a YouTube. But however, we've managed to get the free camera set up perfectly now. However, I'm not the best camera person to switch cameras. So I basically said, oh, I'll do it as a Facebook Live as a tester. However, if this goes well, I'll be doing once a month in this group as Facebook Lives. Right, okay, so we need to do something on the main body on both of those edges on either side of the gusset. Where that mark is, we're going to peel it back. And we're going to snip in 1/4 inch into the body, the main outer body, where that gusset is folded over. And that where that cut is should actually be where that mark is, where you have finished sewing. I'm going to do the same on this one. Now just bear with me, I'm just going to flip this around because I'm caggy-handed. And do the same. Okay, so I've cut into the main body piece here. I'm going to flip this round and repeat the same process on this side. And then on the other side as well. Thanks, Princess. Right, so the clown thing is that I am known as a clown, a village clown to my family because I'm just a joker. Come back, Michael, all is forgiven. I'm sorry, but he's got a day job and I don't pay him for the club ones. No, I shouldn't laugh. I do pay him. I honestly do pay him. Right, okay. So the first thing we're going to do is work out where those 2 arrows are. And you're going to get your handle and you're going to pop the wrong side of your handle in first, and you're going to clip it into place. Now mine works out about, I'm going about 1/4 inch away from that edge where we sewed those 2 together. Okay, I'm going to do the same with this edge here as well, about 1/4 inch. I'm just going to clip that into place. So that's my handle in place there, ready for when we close up the bag. You're going to get this centre here and marry that up to this centre here. Now you probably already noticed my zip pull of the gusset is already in the centre. You need to move your zip gusset pull now. So basically you don't sew it all and sew it completely closed, the whole bag, and forget to pull. You're going to clip those and then you can't get in basically, and then I don't know what you're going to do. Unpick it slightly. You're going to get your clip and clip those into centre, and you're going to clip one edge to the base here all the way around. Now you shouldn't have to clip into the gusset. However, if you are finding that this is not marrying up correctly and the gusset is a bit longer than the actual main body, the main body piece here, you need to snip into the seam allowance. Now my advice is only snip about 1/8 inch in and do it just the small amount as possible, so for a little interval, and then see if it fits in, but it should all fit in. Wow, they're racing cars out there on that main road. It was so quiet just before I came on the live. I went, yes! The cars are going to be nice and quiet today. And then you go live and the cars are just zooming past. You're going to use as many clips as possible as you can. Now I'm going to show you what's going to happen when you come to that bit that's cut into on the main body. Where you cut on the main body, you're just going to pull it, this part here, to match it up to the gusset. And what will happen is, as you can see, you've got a little cutout here. That means it's going to be a nice squared bottom. And it means that this part of the body is going to make a nice flat base for you. So you're going to repeat this side here. I thought actually the same, how do you pay him? Food. I pay him by food, Becky. Well, you know, you're a club member. You basically hear him munching next to me. He's eating all the sweets that I buy in. Oi, stop knocking on the door. That was Michael, if you could hear that knock, by the way, guys. I say door, I mean wall. So in the day he works, he's actually permanently working at home now. The bank that he works for says that he works from home due to the fact that they found it sufficiently and cost effective and stuff like that. So in the week, because we don't have the kids in the week, he is dumped into one of the kids' bedrooms and it has to make a makeshift office. I get the office area. Right, okay. Right, so here is where the handle is. I'm just going to move that clip and re-clip it. I'm going to open up my zip because my fabric's quite a stiff fabric. You won't have to do this if you aren't using a stiff fabric. I'm going to smooch the bag to the side and I'm going to start here, but if you remember rightly, there's a cutout here. So I'm going to sew here, but I'm going to sew to approximately 1/4 inch past that mark, and then I'm going to reverse my stitch here rather than here. Just means that it means that you're reversing the stitch on the actual gusset rather than nothing underneath. I'm going to sew 1/4 inch all the way around, and you're going to take it nice and slowly. With all this gusset talk, we know she's paying him. Okay, no. Did I miss a question about the Teflon? Yeah, I did. Is that 1/4 inch Teflon foot? No, it's just a box standard Teflon foot that comes for this Janome sewing machine, the HD9. However, it actually does measure just under 1/4 inch. I think it measures 4 mil across, if I remember right. Right, so I'm just going to go to the sewing machine camera. Okay, so I'm on stitch length 2.4. I'm going to smooch the bag to the side. I'm going to start sewing on that mark and sew a short bit. So I'm going about 1/4 inch away from that mark, and I'm going to reverse my stitch now. And then we're just going to go nice and slowly around that edge because it's a large curve. Make sure your needle is down when you have to reposition parts of the bag and that. Now I'm finding that my hand is going to get in the way when it's sewing, so I'm going to get my tailor's awl, lift this up and bring that around a bit. There you go. if you've got a purple fang or a stiletto, that will come in handy just to hold it down. These make lovely gifts. I've made a few now for gifts. I bought some toiletries for them to go in, pamper kits. I just like the fact that I'm using up the cork that was getting dumped in my cork bin area, and I'm using up the faux leather on some of them. I was getting fed up of throwing away or not doing anything with the scrap pieces of fabric. Now my seam is slightly off there, but I'm not bothered about that. Now, so I'm coming to where the handle is. I'm going to go over the handle and then I'm going to reverse all the way and then back over. Just means I know that handle, once there is a lot of toiletries in this pouch, it means that it's going to be safe and not fall apart. Right, so I'm coming to where that mark is on this end. Like before, I'm going to reverse my stitch before and then sew off the bag. Let's get all these clips. There's a lot of them. Okay, and get rid of that camera in the background. It's a pretty rabbit. How cute is that rabbit? Right, okay, so where I put that tag wasn't the best placement for that tag, but it's oh well. It's on the handle. I'm not really bothered. Okay, so we're going to repeat the same process. Marry up this to this. However, to get yourself a decent shape, close this zip a tad. Leave it open a bit so you can get your hand in to open it up. Right, so for those who are new to the group, I do sell zips in the shop and zip pulls, so that's rjfmakes.com, and if you see on the front view camera screen, there is a code for this group, which is TINY, TINY 10, for 10% off. It just means that you can buy anything for this bag that you make, if you need like stabilizers or webbing or zips. Now if you're international, because I'm in the UK, you need to private message me before you buy, and then I will work out your correct postage charge, because our postage has gone mental at the moment with overseas prices. So I'm just clipping this all the way around. Using as many clips as possible. Can you believe it's Thursday, guys? Oh my god, it's gone so fast this week. I know I've been getting quite a lot of questions about the embroidery machine. Am I still liking it? Yes and no. Yes, because it is a beautiful machine. However, it takes so long on some of them. I have to keep changing the thread. I need a 10 needle machine, or a 5 needle machine, or a 20 needle machine. So I'm just being lazy. I know I am. No, honestly, it's a beautiful machine, and if anybody can have an embroidery machine, the V5 brother is beautiful. Right, so I'm just going to open up this zip, And I like the fact that I can embroider on cork and on PU fabric as well. So same thing, I've opened it up so I can smooch this bag completely, and there is a reason why we are using fusible fleece or Decaville light on this, because it means that you can smooch it out the way when we go around this corner on this side of the gusset. So back to the sewing machine we go. Yeah, no, I love my brother, I'm just a bit lazy, and especially because I'm actually making patches for the shop at the moment. So I'm on stitch length 2.4, guys, and I'm doing exactly what I did before. Reverse just after that 1/4 inch. Yeah, no, I love my machine. However, because I do other tasks in between while it's embroidering, and some of the embroidery designs that I have got selling in my shop, this is where the handle is, so I'm just going to reverse over it. So where some of my embroideries, I could be putting the white in, for instance, the white thread, the embroidery thread, into my machine, and it only needs to be in for like 40 stitches, 40 to 50 stitches, and then I have to change the thread again. It means that I have to be by that machine quite a lot when I need to be doing other stuff. So I want a 10 needle. I think that's what I'm aiming for eventually. If it's great for personal use, I really do think it's great for personal use, but I do definitely need a 10 needle for what I've got planned for it. Especially with the merchandise that's coming. Yeah, we are selling merchandise, and the Stitch Queen and Stitch King is coming, guys. Merchandise is going to be coming where you can buy hoodies, baseball caps and stuff like that. However, the baseball caps we're having manufactured, and woolly hats. And t-shirts. Right, so come to the end. Make sure to reverse your stitch just before you do that 1/4 inch. Get to that last bit of the 1/4 inch, and then just carry on sewing all the way. Let's just get those clips out the way. Can you see how fast this bag is coming together? Alright, okay. That one, yes. Right, what have I missed? What's the in now? Okay, so Terry will be pleased. Yeah, I know Terry was one of the big ones I was doing it for. Oh, you got a 6 needle, Mandy. What machine do you have? Right. Okay, so, yeah, I do end up watching it, but I'm going to tell you a story. And now a lot of people know this story. How I get to sleep, I have to have loud music on in my ears, or a loud sound. It's how my mum trained me, because her hours were all odd, being back in the day a matron at the hospital. And basically her hours were all over the place. So she used to put the hoover underneath my cot, so it got me to sleep. And now I'm still the same person. I need loud noises. I can fall asleep in front of the TV. I can fall asleep, I'm not kidding, guys, I can fall asleep in front of that, sitting down watching that embroidery machine. I have done. So yeah, I need to be able to walk away from that embroidery machine when it's working. So you're going to turn the bag right side facing out. You're going to push out those corners and push it out all the way around. Same with this as well. And you're going to get a poker tool to poke out those nice corners. It's actually come out quite nice. And then you're going to run the poker tool all the way around the edge. Now if you have used quilting weight cotton on both the gusset and the outer, you will be able to iron this bit if you wanted to. But because I've used cork, I'm just going to have to run my poker tool all the way around to get those seams nice and crisp and rolled, and giving it a nice finish. Okay, so that's the main outer done. Yes, it will collapse because the lining's not in and we haven't done all the pressing of it. So I'm going to pop this to one side for now. How cute is that? So I'm going to pop that to one side. And we're going to work on the lining. Now the lining part is pretty simple. You've got the... Do you do requests for your embroidery machine? Becky. What do you mean? As in, because you haven't got an embroidery machine, do you want something embroidered? Or is it the fact that you want me to design something? I'm not 100% sure you're asking, Beverly. A brother PR65. Ooh. I'm going to have a look into that. Had it 6 years, so there are newer models. Okay. Right, okay. So, I've interfaced the main body piece. I've used non-woven interfacing, medium weight. Done exactly the same with the gusset pieces. However, the zip gusset pieces, I have now folded in 3/8 of an inch seam. 3/8 of an inch into the wrong side on 2 long sides. I've done that for a reason, because normally you would have your zip in the middle bit here. Okay, so you got your gussets, and you're going to find which is the shorter side first. Not that side. Definitely not that side. That side. Right, okay, so this is where I'm going to use pins. You're going to marry up this edge here of the zip gusset to this edge here of the side gusset, and you're going to pin that into place. I'm going to pin down that seam, that folded over bit there, and this one here. And then, so that's right side to right side, guys. Then you're going to get the right side to right side of the other gusset and the other side of that one there. And you are going to pin it so this edge of the side of the zip gusset meets up to the side gusset on this edge here. Okay. And then you are going to pin that into place. You're going to do the same for the other. Let me just work this out. Oh, spot on. So it's that way. You're going to do exactly the same for this. Wow, we've been going some time on this already. That's alright, we're going to get this bag finished so I can show you the next sew along. Okay, so we've got those two pinned into place. So you're going to sew those 1/4 inch, and you're going to reverse your stitch here, here, here and here on both of those. So you're reversing your stitch 4 times on each side. That's because obviously you are sewing over just one piece of, ow, naughty pin. You're sewing over you're sewing over the one piece, the side here. That wasn't very telly. Naughty pin. Right, okay, so I'm sewing 1/4 inch away on stitch number 2.4, and yeah. So I'm reversing my stitch there. Where it is folded, I'm going to reverse my stitch there. Carry on to the next folded over bit, reverse my stitch, and then on the end as well, reverse my stitch. Then I'm going to pick this up, twist it around, and do exactly the same. Take that pin out as you go. Hey, get back down. Okay, while we're at the sewing machine, you can go to your iron first if you wanted to and press this open. However, I'm just going to finger press it. So you're wanting, for definite, the seam to be pointing down towards the side gusset, because you want it a neat crisp finish here. And you're going to go 1/8 inch away. I'm going to keep my stitch level at number 3, sorry. And I'm just going to sew 1/8 inch across, like I'm top stitching. And then I'm going to repeat the same process for this one. Make sure that side seam is pointing down towards the end, and 1/8 inch away. Okay. Back to the start of the camera. Right, okay, so I'm going to add in my actual maker's label now. So if you're wondering what these labels are, they're just woven labels that you get in clothes manufacturers. I don't think you can actually see that properly because it's pink. Of course it's pink. I get these from Ribbon UK in obviously UK. And I'm just going to pop that down here. Oh, I'm a nut job today, guys. Sorry, I really am sorry. Not sorry. I am sorry. Right, so I don't have an embroidery machine. Would you like... I saw... well, I don't even know who I saw is. I know who Wonder Woman is. For a granddaughter to make theirs, please. Yes. Beverly, private message me and I'll sort something out for you. Private message me after the live and we'll chat outside the live. I can do it for people. However, I will need to find the designs of those because technically I'm not meant to be doing those because they're obviously Disney characters. Well, the one is definitely a Disney character. I'm not 100% who I saw is. I'm so not with it with the kids today. However, we can chat after the Facebook Live, Beverly. So please message me privately and I'll sort that out for you. Because I know it took me 4 years to save up for mine. And it wasn't cheap. And I know they're expensive. Right, so we're going to find the two centres of the sides and the two centres of the two long sides. Exactly the same process before. And this one here. And then we're going to fold it over and find the sides here. Okay, and do the same for the body. Fold it in half. Find the centres. And then do exactly the same for this one. Your pins are the same sharp as mine. Yep, they are, Susan. They are. Now, I know that's Susan, not Terry. Well, it could be Terry, actually. Oh, Eeyore! Oh, yeah, I know who Eeyore is. I think that says Eeyore. Oh, my God. I really do need my eyes testing. Yeah, we're sort of out. There's bound to be some out there. Right, so I found the centres. I'm going to marry them up again. And we're going to find the 1/4 inch like last time. However, this time I'm going to pin because obviously clips, it will move around a bit. I'm going to find the 1/4 inches. Doesn't matter what pen I'm using because it's on the wrong side. It's not going to be seen. I'm using a biro. Same with this side. Marry up that centres, those two centres. And find the two sides. Once again, you know the process. We're going to sew in between those two marks, reverse our stitches at the start and at the end. We're going to do it 1/4 inch away from this edge here, and we are going to use a stitch length 2.4. And switch camera. There you go. Okay, so stitch length 2.4. Make sure you're reversing your stitches and not going past those marks. There you go. And the same with this one. Make sure you remove those pins as you go, please, guys. Oh, camera probably shook then. Do apologise. Cannot wait for that new stand to come. Right, back to the overhead camera. Oh my God, I need go-go gadget arms for that. Okay, so you're going to marry up. No, we're not. We're going to find and cut into those seams on both edges. Now we're going to do this bit. So you're going to marry up the centre to centre. I'm going to pin these because it's not thick enough to use clips. And you're going to go all the way around. Sorry, pins take a bit longer. I'll space them out a bit more than I usually do. I usually pin every half an inch. I'm going to stick to an inch so it speeds up a bit. Don't think about this. Okay, what's everybody doing at the weekend? Let's see what everyone's doing. I like to be nosy. What's that about dyslexia? In order sharp pins from China. Got great pins. Apparently they are for pin inserts. Oh, Becky. Right, so I'm going to move that one clip, and because it's slightly thicker here, I'm going to keep the clips in. I'm just carrying pinning. That's where my woven label is, guys, if you're wondering why I've got two clips there. Okay, we are coming to the end, and that I will be showing you how to hand sew it in at the end, because you do have to hand sew this lining in. However, I won't be showing you all of it because it's a thing that I normally do in front of the TV. But once the bag is finished, I will show you in the group. Now while I'm there, I'm going to do this side and speed up the process. Yes, I'm probably going to stab myself at this point at the sewing machine. But what's a bit of blood? Now I know Laura, the Little Stitcher Sews, actually did the pouch yesterday to do a bit of advertising for me. She forgot to put the handle in, and I actually think it actually looked quite nice without the handle. So if you forget to put the handle, it is no biggie. It actually looked really, really nice. But she said she's got the handle for the next one that she makes. So if you are going to make one, don't worry, don't be kicking yourself if you're missing the handle. It actually does look really pretty. I'm putting together Loki's house. Has Loki's friend turned up yet? Oh, got a bit of a problem here. No, that wasn't the centre, was it? Okay. Right, I realised I haven't found my centre, so we all make these mistakes. Or what's happened is my body hasn't been cut right. I didn't cut my body. Sorry, not my physical body, my lining body. So I'm not going to blame whoever it was. Let's see. Yeah. Let's start from here now. We were saying Neo looks like the Cheshire Cat from the Mad Hatter's, the newer movie, because of its bright eyes. No, this looks better. Because of his bright eyes and because it's like different greys and tonals like that. So we've nicknamed him the Cheshire Cat from now on. So sorry, Princess is going to be known as the Cheshire Cat to us. There you go. It was my fault, so I don't blame the cutter. I didn't find my centre properly. There you go. Okay, so you're going to sew 1/4 inch all the way around. Make sure you reverse your stitch, and you're going to reverse your stitch just after that mark at the end. And you're going to do that for both sides. Next camera. Okay, so I'm using stitch number 2.4 and 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay. And remove those pins as you go, guys, please. I don't want no eye accidents where you take out an eye. Oh, I've just sang the McDonald's advert sign now, haven't I? I'm now thinking of McDonald's McFlurry. Why do I do that to myself? And don't forget to reverse your stitches at the end as well of that line. And then I'm going to do the same for this one. Now you would have only pinned one side, unless you want to go and dare it like I just did. Now I'm just going over where the woven label is. And definitely reverse your stitch at the end again. Leave those there for later. Let's get to the proper camera. Yeah. Right. Okay, so I'm now sewn all the way around. I'm going to turn this right side facing out. And if you want to, you can give this a bit of a good press if you want to. I don't think I need to, because I don't know how many of you do this. Before I put the interfacing on, I actually starch my fabric as well. So I use Best Press. So it means that sometimes I can get away with quite a lot of pressing through the makes that I make. I'm just going to roll those seams just a bit. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that to one side, grab the outer, open it up, and we're going to turn it wrong side facing out. Then you're going to get your lining and bag inside. It's going to be a tight squeeze, guys. It's actually not that much of a tight squeeze, but your bag should sit in neatly, but not too neatly. If you understand where I'm coming from. That's bad English, Rebecca, but there you go. Okay, you're going to get your clips, and you're going to, where the lining zip gusset fold is, you're going to place it on top of where that sewn line is on your outer. And you're going to get a clip. Now I do one side, leave that bit, I clip all the way around the one side first. So I'm going to do that. Now if you made the canteen coin pouch on the YouTube tutorial, you will have know this process already. You're going to do like a little stitch, hidden stitch within the fold of the fabric to the actual the zip tape. Now you need some thread that will match your zip tape. So when I say zip tape, that's the pink bit here. So I'm just going to open up my drawers of thread and find a pink that matches close to it. And then it will stand up so I'm close to the camera up above. Let me get some thread. That'll do. Right, so I've got some there. I'm going to get a sewing needle. And find a nice sharp sewing needle. Okay. Right, so I'm going to go a quarter of a way along because this does take me a long process, this bit does, so I always make about 3 or 4, as I know there's like some presents that I need to make. I'm sorry if I'm talking a bit louder now because I am right next to the mic here. So I've threaded the needle once. I'm just going to tie a knot at the end. I do my knots the really old fashioned way, how my mum taught me. You just make your knot as you need to make it. Okay. So first of all I'm going to hide that knot. I'm going to take that first clip off and I'm going to hide that knot. So I'm going to go right inside here. So I'll go right inside there. And I'm going to poke that up inside. I'm going to get that clip back out. And just pop that back in. Okay. So I'm going to run my needle through that fold. And I'm going approximately just under 1/4 of an inch. Okay. And then I'm going to pick up some of the zip tape. So you're going to make sure it's round about where the sewn line is. So my sewn line is approximately round about here underneath. So I'm just going a fraction above where that fold is. And then I've gone into the tape. Then I'm coming to the actual lining part of the back. Then I'm going to go and do the same again. Pick up a little bit of the zip tape. And this is why you need to match your cotton, your thread, to the actual zip. And I'm just going in. I'm just going to keep doing that. I'm going to turn it this way so I can see it better. And I'm using only one strand. Simple reason is you don't want it too thick, you don't want to be able to see it too much outside. Now if I turn that right way, where I'm sewing is literally just underneath that fold bit here of the outer part, so it's totally hidden. If I stitch any closer to the coil, I will see it on this side. However, it really doesn't matter because we are using the thread that is the same colour as your zip tape, or closest to your zip tape. Okay, I'll do 3 or 4 more stitches. Oh, cut up. Okay, so I'm going to leave that in. You're going to do that all the way till you get to here. Then you're going to tie a knot and finish off that side. Then you're obviously going to bring your clips and do your clips this side. You're then going to start around about here. You're going to pull that zip up a bit. Okay. You're going to sew slightly across here, so you're going to use the fold here on this side, sew across, and then you're going to go all the way across to this end and then sew across and then tie a knot at the end. It is that simple, and it's a project that you can do in front of the TV at night. Let me just get to the front view camera. Hi! Okay, so this is the same process for the small and the medium case. Obviously I haven't got a small case because I have actually sold all my small cases. I'm apologising, but they are just a bit bigger than this pot. I'm not kidding, they are quite tiny. So this process is exactly the same as for the medium and the small. However, I know a lot of you want to do the bias binding. Go ahead, do the bias binding. If you know how to put the bag together and do the bias binding, do the bias binding. We are going to touch the bias binding next month in the next sew along, which is this bag. I like this bag. This bag. It's exactly the same bag. I'm not kidding, it's exactly the same pattern, but you can see the size difference and the width. It's a bowler bag, so basically we've added a base to it, and then inside, I'm hoping the binding's done. Yeah, the binding is done. The bind with bias bind the edges in this one, but however this one is made using foam to give it that structure. And I might tell you where to put bag feet on if you want to do bag feet, that is. So this is the next month sew along. It's the free pattern. This is called Tiny's, Super Tiny's Big Sister. Yeah, I like my tongue twisters. Now, if you need anything from the shop, don't hesitate. There is a code for 10% off, and that's to the end of May. You are welcome. I love the way of the lining. Yeah, it's a nice way, and it's a nice thing to do in front of the TV at night. I do 3 or 4 in one session, and then basically sit in front of the TV with a tray on my lap and then just hand sew them. I like hand sewing. However, I know there's a lot of people with really bad arthritis and they cannot hand sew. I understand that because I suffer from arthritis. So watch the bias binding trick next time, and basically we will you can make these pouches, even the small size, with bias binding as well. But you're going to have to watch next time, because I'm not going to show that today because I've been talking a lot. Right, so if there's any more questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I recommend warmly to be a Patreon. Yeah, thanks Becky, I was just going to bring that up. So if you like this live today, I actually have a club, a sub club. So the minimum payment is £7 plus VAT. It's worldwide. I have some Becky Ezra from the Netherlands. I have some from America. I have a couple from Australia. Yeah, so basically the club is where you get exclusive stuff. You get a higher percentage discount from what I'm offering here to my shop. And the bag we are working on at the moment is not a club exclusive, but there is stuff in it that is club exclusive. So we're working on that large green bag there, which is the overnight bag. However, the pattern before was club exclusive, which was, move out the way, all these 3 bags here was in one pattern, and that went over 6 weeks sew-alongs. We meet every week, apart from 1 week in the month where I don't do a sew-along, and we sew in the evenings, with my husband operating the cameras and doing a better job than me. But yeah, there is so much. Like, another thing that we just did recently was a cork order. We ordered cork in from Portugal. I know if I ordered a massive bulk, I didn't need that massive bulk, but we ordered that massive bulk in to get it at the very cheapest price that cork can be in the UK. So there is swings and roundabouts. Buying cork in the UK is very expensive from some people. Yeah, there is some sellers that sell it quite cheap, but they're obviously not making a profit. I didn't make a profit on it. I just wanted to be able to give something back to my Patreon members, and we got a fat quarter for around about £10. So some of them were 10, some of them were 13, and normally they're like 14 to 16 pounds. So yeah, we were saving a bit of penny on those as well. Yeah, so I've been talking a lot. I want to say thank you very so much for joining me on the live today, and don't forget there's 10% off until the end of the month, and it's rjfmakes.com. Have a lovely day, and I'll see you all for the next sew-along next month. See you guys. Bye. Now I've got to reach down here and turn it off.